called her a saint, a martyr, a tragic miracle. But no one ever asked what I saw from inside, what she gave me, willingly. I was in every prayer, every sleepless night, every so-called miracle. I was the answer she received. And now, you'll hear my version. She prayed too much. That was the door I needed. I am not fed by hatred, but by blind, unwavering, desperate faith. Her prayers never ceased kneeling until the blood flowed from her knees, eyes shut tight with foolish hope. It was like a silent invitation for me to enter, and I gladly accepted, eager to consume every fragment of that fragile soul. While she begged for mercy, I drew closer, smiling into the void that would soon be mine. I entered in the silence of the night, slipping through her dreams and the constant sound of the rosary she gripped tightly. Her body was warm, but fragile, a ruined temple, perfect for me to lodge myself and take control. Her soul trembled with fear and confusion, unable to understand the darkness now residing within. This was only the beginning of the nightmare she never knew she had invited. With every heartbeat, my power grew, filling the void God had left behind. At first, I only whispered. I disguised my voice as though she loved the father, the mother, distant figures she sought for comfort. She cried, without knowing why the growing anguish consumed her mind and body. At school, while trying to live a normal life, she heard my laughter in the shadows of her thoughts, an invisible specter, feeding on her hidden pain. Every moment of weakness made me stronger. The mirror became my favorite stage. When she looked, she saw a smile that wasn't hers reflected back, a dark gaze bleeding from the inside out. She tried to tell the priests, but they quickly dismissed it, saying it was stress and that God was with her. Little did they know that God merely watched, distant and silent, while I whispered forbidden words into her ears, corroding her faith and sanity. That's when she realized the heavens are deaf, but I am not. Then came the tremors and convulsions, tearing the silence of the night like hungry beasts. They said it was epilepsy, a medical explanation for the unexplainable. But to me, it was a macabre dance, a terrifying show where I made the rules and all were unconscious spectators. With every spasm, every scream, I laughed inside, knowing I was destroying everything she loved, piece by piece, until nothing remained but emptiness and fear. She began to feel my presence palpably, even in the darkness of her room. When the lights went out and crucifixes fell by themselves, she felt my icy touch, the non-human breath, the invisible weight crushing her chest. Fear took over her body, a prison without bars, where I was the cruel jailer. Every night her despair grew, and I bathed in the darkness that had become her soul, waiting for the right moment to reveal my true face. She knelt until her bones screamed in pain, trying to expel me with Latin prayers and burning tears. I laughed with her, phrase by phrase, word by word, becoming part of that prayer, corrupting the sacred with my evil presence. Slowly, she no longer knew who was in control, herself, God, or me. The line between the sacred and the profane vanished, and I danced on the edge of that confusion, smiling inwardly. The priests came, holy men, weak in the face of the power I held within her. One vomited at first contact, another wept in despair. They brought Bibles, holy water, hope. I brought convulsions, black vomit, words and tongues they could not understand. It was an endless battle, a fight between light and darkness that seemed to have no winner, until darkness took all that was left. She screamed names that were not hers, but mine and my dark brothers. Judas, Cain, Nero, I, the ancient, the fetid, the forgotten. Each of us inhabited a corner of her soul, dominating her with fear, pain, and anguish. There was no safe place inside her, and I exploited every crack, every invisible wound to human eyes. Her mind was a battlefield where only terror reigned. She stopped eating, saying she was not worthy of food or forgiveness. I lived in her tongue, choking her every time she tried to swallow. Her body surrendered to despair, but her soul still fought against the invisible prison I had imposed. It was a cruel game of resistance and submission, where I set the rules, and she obeyed, growing weaker and more mine. Her family begged for mercy, knelt, cried, and prayed, but it was too late. She let me in, not out of weakness, but faith. She believed she could expel me with devotion, but I turned that faith against her, upending her world. That belief made me victorious because darkness feeds on the light that tries to fight it. When the final exorcism began, she was no longer herself, empty, broken, a dark and silent temple. She said she wanted to leave, but her eyes begged me to stay. An endless torment consuming all humanity left inside her, turning her into a perfect vessel for my dark reign. Her body died, but she did not. Part of her still bears my mark to this day. And when someone prays too much, kneels too much, I smell that scent in the air, the scent of faith surrendered to me. A subtle invitation to enter and destroy, just as I did with her. The battle between light and darkness is eternal, and I will always lurk in the shadows. They made a movie, gave me a name and a voice. Now you hear me, alone, in the dark. Perhaps kneeling, perhaps praying. You can turn off the video. You can close your eyes. You can even pray, if you wish. But remember, I came through a prayer, a blind faith, a simple cry for help. Maybe you're praying for someone right now. Maybe I've already heard you. Maybe I'm already on my way. I am the shadow that lives inside unanswered prayers, the cold breath on your neck, the silence after the scream. I am the evil you do not see, but feel. And as long as blind faith and despair exist, I will always find a way in. So be careful, because I'm already here.